What's going on, guys? Welcome back to LOY TV. Today's video, we're going to be doing our long-awaited 2021 League of Ireland table prediction video. We're supposed to be joined by Tig as well, but he has dropped out. A bit of a prima donna. But we've Griffin Socko here. He's going to say their predictions for the league table as well. I think last year I might have got one right. I don't even think I got any, but I might have been one push.
That's good anyway. Yeah, expert
so yeah,
opinion.
it is tough. Is there a goal you're setting for yourself out of 10?
Five out of 10. I think to be fair, I think realistically five. I do think I will get 10 out of 10, but realistically, five out of 10 is probably realistic. I think the middle is pretty tight. Actually, it's all pretty tight to be honest with you. Go either way.
So such small margins. It's like 7th is like mid-table, then like 8th is like nearly relegated. Like it's like so tight. Like
I think last season in between was 3rd and 5th. There was like 1 or 2 points, and then Harp stayed up by 1 point as well.
Yeah.
So like the swing of 1 or 2 games can be huge.
Yeah. So I think let's kick off. We'll go from the bottom to the top. Start from the bottom. So we'll go with 10th place. And who did you go for?
Finn Harps.
I'll go for
Finn Harps.
Finn Harps. Yeah.
Longford would be. I'd say Longford. That's a big. Finn Harps is a big shout.
Boylan hot take.
I think Longford's the safer option of the two. I think.
Yeah. I'm going Waterford.
Waterford.
Wow.
Bottom of the league.
Wow.
Yeah. Waterford bottom of the league.
5th last year.
Yeah. The whole new team. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. I'm going Waterford.
Few very interesting shouts there.
So completely different too.
Yeah, Longford. The fact that they were 4th in the first division last season, when they came up, I just think I would be surprised if they have the quality to stay up, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, in fairness, I've gone Longford in 9th because the reason I put them ahead of Waterford, I think Waterford have had so much off-field turmoil. Their team is paper thin. They've had so many loans coming in. You don't know what they're going to be like. Their manager, Kevin Sheedy, I think he's only managed Tranmere Rovers as a caretaker manager in 2003. I think he did some work with Everton under 18s 10 years ago, and then he worked over in Saudi Arabia. He's not an experienced manager by any stretch. Dara Doyle, we had him on the channel, not biased that we're putting him ahead of him or anything, but I do think he set up his team really well. They're going to be a strong unit. They know each other. They've made a few signings, but they're going to have a really good base to build off from last year, I feel. I think Longford will just have enough to get into the playoffs in 9th. I think they'll probably take 9th as well, if they're being honest with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Who just got 9th?
Longford as well. I think... I feel bad as well because we interviewed Darragh and he was so nice to us as well. But just looking at the facts, obviously they were promoted last year by the playoffs. That step up just might be too much for them. They have recruited a fair few players, and Darragh was telling us pre-season was going well. They're really excited for that step up. I think it's a tough kind of few opening fixtures for them. As I said before, the swing of 1 or 2 games can be huge. So if they can nick 1 or 2 surprise results towards the back of the end of the season, that will do them really well.
I think it'd be a tough place to go. Longford, I think for a lot of teams, it'd be a tough place to go.
Yeah, definitely. I have them in 9th for that promotion relegation playoff, but after watching them a little bit last year and in that playoff last year, I might fancy them to win that playoff. Obviously, you could have Bray, Cork, or Shells, etc. in that game. But I'd like to think they'd win the playoff if they found themselves in that position.
Yeah. Do you see who
very long-term shout there, Socko? I see them winning in a year's time. I put Finn Harps. I think to be fair, for me it was a toss-up between them two, 9th and 10th. I don't know. I think Finn Harps just edge it for me. Just the fact that they've obviously had a decent season last season, highest league finish in 20 years. So
that was mad, wasn't it? Yeah, I didn't actually know that, to be honest.
7th, God love them.
Yeah, 8th.
8th even.
Yeah.
they didn't finish in the playoff for the first time in 20 years, basically.
It's because remember it used to be 12. That's the way it was, I think.
Yeah.
So they would, if they finished 10th before, they would have stayed up or whatever.
But I think to be fair, I think it's pretty tight between them and Longford. I think I don't know. I like Finn Harps. I like people from Donegal. Donegal's a nice place, so hopefully they stay up.
Yeah. 8th place, I've gone with Drogheda.
Same here.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
All around, yeah.
Unanimous.
First one we agree on, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
I think, I
they've done.
think
I don't think they'll get sucked into the danger. I think they've brought in good players, a lot of experience, like Denny Corcoran, Dane Massey, but they're both kind of on the back of big long-term injuries. So it'll be interesting to see what they're like and if they can stay fit for the whole season. Ronan Murray will be an interesting one as well to see how he gets on. I think Deegan and Markey will be good signings for their midfield. I do worry about them a little bit in terms of it's quite a young squad and a lot of them haven't played in the Premier Division. I think that will probably tell at some points in games where they may be playing well and not getting the results possibly. So I think it'd be a good learning curve for a lot of the players. And 8th place, I think, would be a good finish for them, just newly promoted and avoiding a relegation battle.
definitely agree. I was in 8th as well. Like, sorry, Griff, go on.
No, I was saying it was like it's a good basis. Like last season played really well, and they obviously win in the league. Like I think they definitely take a real good basis. Hopefully, kick on from that. I think they have enough quality as well. Some of the signings they made, experienced heads on them. So yeah, I think they have enough.
Yeah, they were super last year. Recruited really well. A lot of players with that Premier Division experience. So yeah, I think 8th safely. I think they will just be above that dog fight, probably between Longford and Finn Harps, and Waterford according to us. But yeah, I think they have enough to stay up.
Yeah, I clearly have a lot more faith in Finn Harps than used to. I'll put them in 7th. I think they'll build on last year to achieve their best league position finish in 21 years or something. So I think in terms of how Drogheda, Longford, and Waterford compared to Finn Harps, I think Finn Harps are they've built on last season a little bit in terms of what they've brought in. They haven't really lost any players. Finn Park is probably the worst away trip in the country for a team to go to. It's an awful trip, and I think they're adding a bit of quality, like the likes of Barry McNamee. That kind of goes under the radar a bit. They're building quality, like a good side there. And I think Ollie Horgan is just a fantastic manager in terms of the resources that he has available to him. And I kind of have a soft spot for Finn Harps as well. I think everyone kind of does a little bit. And I'd like to see them do well this season. I think they can kick on. I think they're a little bit more ready for it than Waterford, Longford, and Drogheda. I think they'll just get a nice, comfortable 7th place finish. I think they'll get enough points to be okay.
Yeah, no, I could agree with that. Like, I think it's going to be tight down the bottom. It's going to be tight the whole year, to be honest with you. It could go either way. Like, these are just predictions at the end of the day. But, yeah, as you said, it's a tough place to go. Like, and I don't know, like, hopefully they build on, because you don't want to see after, like, getting, like doing pretty well last season. It would be a shame for them to just have an absolute shocker and just go straight back down. Like, so, yeah, I'd like to see them do well, to be honest.
Who'd you just go with 7th?
Yeah, I'd 7th. I'd Waterford 7th. Came 5th last year. But as you said before, Waterford, the recruitment possibly this winter wasn't the best. Kevin Sheedy, there's questions about him. I watched a little bit of them last year, and they'd be hot one game and like cold the next, like just kind of for no reason at all. So yeah, I have them 7th. Obviously, they'd have enough quality to stay up. I don't think, barring any upset, I don't think they're in any real danger of going down.
It's a whole new team and a new manager. That's the thing. It's a whole new team. You can't judge them from last season at all.
Yeah, it's kind of a middle ground. I don't know. Is it I'm trying to think of another team like them, but they definitely have enough quality not to get relegated, but they won't be charging up like the top end of the table. So they're just in that middle ground, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went with Socko. I went for Waterford as well. So.
Daryl Murphy is an interesting one. If they can keep him fit, I'd say that they could be okay, but he's 35, 36 now. So, yeah, he's a big player for them to keep fit. Obviously, probably on his day, the best striker in the league, I'd say nearly. So, but yeah, obviously getting old. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Waterford are like. They've lost a couple of their friendlies. They lost 3-0 to Cork in a friendly there last week and stuff. So their friendlies haven't really been going great. So yeah, it's just a tough one. But maybe they'll just gel them together and it might be okay. So it's tough to know with them. It's there's an unknown quantity really.
Yeah.
Sixth place, I've gone with St. Pat's.
Ooh.
Big call.
Ooh. So yeah, that's where they came last year. Yeah,
really tough,
I didn't have them there. Why'd you have them there?
I think just going off the teams that I put ahead of them, I think it's gonna be really tight between like 6th and 3rd. Like that, those 4 teams are gonna be quite tight. I think. I think Pats. I do like a couple of their pieces of business. I think bringing in like John Mountney to complement like the likes of Robbie Benson and stuff would be good. Ronan Coughlin's a good player. But I think they lost like the likes of Luke McNally. They've lost over to Oxford. I think he went to 1 or 2 others that left as well. I think they might just. I think it'd be very, very tight, but if I had to pick one, I think I'd just put Pats in sixth.
I went with Sligo. Again, it's literally like
Yeah,
between fourth and sixth. It's basically a guessing game, really. I think they're like the three teams that I picked anyway. Are pretty tight. Do you know what I mean? They just don't much separate them, so it's going to be a handful of games really which decide it. I think so yeah, I went for Sligo in the end. But
yeah, I know it was only 18 game league last year, but I'm just looking here last season between Finn Harps in 8th and Dundalk in 3rd. There was 6 points,
mad.
which is insane. Like
Bonkers,
one or two games could, the swing of it.
Small margins in a lot of the games as well and stuff. Like.
Insane. Yeah, obviously this season it mightn't be as bad because it's a full length season. But yeah, I same as Griff. I'd Sligo in 6th. Came 4th last year, but possibly like Waterford, just in between that middle ground, not challenge. Liam Buckley's a great manager, don't get me wrong, but in that middle ground between not really challenging top end of the table and in no danger of getting relegated. So it'd be interesting to see how they get on.
Yeah, I've actually got Sligo in 5th, and it's a tough show for me where to put them. I was considering because they have Eddie McGinty in goal. He's Ireland under-21 first choice goalkeeper now, I think. John Mahon at centre half is really, really talented player as well. I think Celtic and Rangers have been interested in him apparently. Greg Bolger coming into the midfield will give them a lot of experience. He's a top midfielder. Then the likes of Romeo Parks coming back to the club is a big one for me, as well as Walter Figueira. Yeah, coming from Derry as well. That's going to be a really, really good partnership up front. So yeah, I'm excited to see how Sligo get on this year. And I've gone with them in 5th.
I went exactly. I went for Pats in 5th. I just think they'll have enough quality. Like still a few decent players in there. Robbie Benson, obviously a decent player.
Yeah.
Ian Birmingham, the likes, experienced League of Ireland players. I don't think they're in any relegation of like being relegated. But at the same time, they're definitely not quite up with the top few teams in the league, I don't think. But yeah, it's honestly, it's as you said, like between them Sligo and Derry, who I went 4 and 4, like it's nothing really. Like, to be honest with you, like it's a toss up for me anyway.
Same here. Pat's in 5th. Muchness between them and Derry. Derry above them, but Pat's coming 6th last year. Have them in 5th this year. Possibly an improvement. You can see an improvement. They've recruited well, as you said, but just lacking that edge to be challenged in the top 3, I think.
Yeah. I think by the sounds of it, everyone's gone with Derry in 4th then, have they?
Yeah.
But it sounds, Derry, I think obviously last season was a little bit disappointing for them finishing in 7th. A lot of factors, obviously, that Soccer was saying there, it's so tight between 8th and 3rd. But for me, Derry, I like the signing of David Parkhouse coming back to the club. He's a top striker. A couple of other additions they've had as well. That we had a chat with Declan Devine about a lot of the signings he's brought in, and he's delighted with them. It'll be interesting to see Joe Hodge, of course, as well. Really, really exciting talent. And I think Derry, they're a good side, and I expect them to be better than last year. I think they will creep back up the table into 4th, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Unanimous.
We had the chat last week, and Declan Devine was saying about the likes of Joe Hodge, Dave Parkhouse, Danny Lafferty, Will Fitzgerald as well. They've recruited very, very well, and he was talking about how last year they got into a little, after a really positive start to the season, they got into a little bit of a rut. Obviously, COVID turned everything on its head, but he was saying like there was a few games they conceded in the last minute, did a few injuries too. So I think they were happy to just put last season behind them, like a lot of clubs. And they've done so much work this winter and in the academy the last few years. Declan mentioned a lot of names, coaches, officials back at the club now. This seems really, really nice. What's the word? Atmosphere around the club. Preseason's going very, very well, he said. So to build on that 7th place finish last year, they ended up in, I have them in 4th place and possibly a cup run as well, because it's been a while for them as well.
Yeah, for sure. Moving into the top 3, this is where I get interesting now. I've gone with Bows in 3rd.
Same here.
I've reluctantly gone for Bows in third. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I was actually gonna put them second, but then realistically, I had to think about it. I don't think, like, I just think Rovers and Dundalk still are like the two best teams in the league
Yeah,
overall.
definitely.
I think as well, both players they've lost, obviously losing Danny Grant, huge player for them last season. Like, I don't know, it's going to be Andrew Wright as well. Like, it's going to be a hit and miss, I think, with their signings possibly.
Danny
It's
Mandry.
yeah, Danny. Well, I wouldn't really count him as like one of the better players. Like, he was good, but he wasn't. No,
he wasn't starting last season really.
He wasn't really getting into the team by the end. Like, but I don't know. If it depends, like, because I'm putting a lot of faith into Bastian Harry here. Like, honestly, so if he comes and he's like balling out, then I think like they could do very, very well. But then he could be like shy. Do you know what I mean? And then the other players that we signed as well. It's going to be hit and miss really. So yeah, I'd say third, safe option.
Do you think interesting one? Do you think they'll be close? You've gone with Bows in third as well, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think they'll be closer to second, or do you think they'll be closer to fourth? In terms of like, are they battling with second more or fourth more kind of thing?
That's a good question.
They're kind of in between, aren't they? A little bit.
Yeah, there was such a big. It's funny because Rovers ran away with it in the end. I think when there's such a big gap, it's hard for the likes of Dundalk and Bows to. I can't imagine they put in the same effort to like the last few games if the league's already like a foregone conclusion. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Now that this season's a full length season, it'll be really interesting to see if they're close to the fourth or close to the second. I think they've retained like 12 players from last season to this season, and they've recruited pretty well as well. I fancy they'd be nearer second. I think they are half a level above the likes of Pats and Derry.
Maybe, yeah.
The one thing I'll say is real quick is if Bows are up near the top, like real near the top, I don't think it will necessarily be due to them being unbelievable. It'll probably be down to Rovers and Dundalk being not as good as they were last season, them dropping points, you know. And that's not disrespecting Bows. It's just saying, like, I do still think that Dundalk and Rovers are probably a cut above, and if like Bows are up there, probably be down to both of them teams dropping points. Do you know?
Yeah. No, I from where I was looking at it, probably kind of slightly different to you as well. I think Bows and Derry are going to have a quite similar points tally come the end of the season. Just thinking about it, I think the likes of Parkhouse is for Derry is a great signing. In terms of what Bows have brought in, Georgie Kelly has been a bit hit and miss in the League of Ireland previously as a striker. I think Bradley Rolt is that his name, from Peterborough on loan. Don't really know much about him. So in terms of goals, Bows could that maybe lack that like clinical goal scorer. Liam Burt coming in looks a good player, but it's going to be with the front three, is a whole new front three. See how they gel. Might take them a month or two to get going. So I think Bow is third. I think they will finish third, but I think there might be a little bit. I think Derry could push them a little bit maybe for that third spot. But moving into the top two, lads, we just say both of them at the same time. I've gone with Shamrock Rovers to win the league and Dundalk to come second.
I said Dundalk to win and Rovers come second.
Did you?
Yeah, same as Griff.
Really?
Yeah.
Go on, tell me what.
Yeah, I just think the fact Rovers were so good last season, but now losing like Jack Byrne and McAnuff, who were like unbelievable last year. I don't know. Like, I do think they've done very good business. That's why I just think even like they definitely will be up near the top. It's going to be between them two, I'd say.
Yeah.
But I just think I don't know. I just think Jack Byrne was just like, he's the best player that the league's had in, like, since I'd say like Richie Towell a few years ago. When he was in, like,
listen to what you're saying now, though. That could be a big factor.
But he not the same player he was he? Like, I don't know. That's a big call. I don't know. Like, he could be. I do think they made good business, but I do think Dundalk, like, I just think that it's not just being a bit biased here as well. Like,
But
yeah, I don't know. I think Dundalk, just the fact that they've retained so many of their players from last year, like in the FAI Cup final, like they deserve to win. Do you know what I mean? In the end, like, it was a real good game, but Dundalk deserved to win. I think that, like, just the fact they've had a year in Europe, they're pretty experienced squad. Like, the fact that they've been able to retain most of those players, I think they'll win. I think they have enough quality about them.
What do you think, Saka?
Mhm. Yeah, it's much of a muchness. Like before the season, the two teams on paper, the two recruitment processes, the two teams form. Uh, it's really hard to call, but like as the season progresses, like Dundalk could easily run away with it if Rovers are in shit form or vice versa. Just looking at Dundalk, obviously third last year, they had that whole thing with Vinny Perch in the summer. Gio Vagnoli came in, and they had that European kind of fairy tale, if you want to call it. And they could have come second possibly if they didn't have to focus on the Europa League as well. But I think Gio Vagnoli's done a superb job. There was a lot of question marks about him before he came in. Obviously his first senior job, but he's done superb. Obviously there was the news a few days ago.
It's a weird one.
It's a weird one. We could possibly do a separate video about that, but he's stepped back a little bit. Shane Keegan will be taking charge, and he will be picking the team.
And Shane Keegan is like, he was a flop at Galway. Like he got Galway relegated and stuff previously. Like it's a weird scenario. Like
same situation at Pats, if I'm not mistaken. The like manager and coach, like there's kind of two of them, Stephen O'Donnell as well. But Dundalk bringing in Peter Cherry, Junior O'Getty. Is Okray? Did I say that right?
Junior, I think they call him Junior O'Getty. I think
just Junior. Yeah. So much Junior. Even, they have recruited really well, but so have Rovers, Sean Gannon, Sean Hoare, Danny Mandrew, obviously. So yeah, it's much of a muchness. Obviously, the President's Cup game tomorrow might give us a fair idea of where both teams are at the minute. But definitely, I'd go so far to say it's almost as big as the Dublin Derby will be, that those 4 Dundalk Rovers games. Like you'll learn a lot about each team. But then again, it is a 36 game season. So it is long season. Either team, they don't necessarily have to win the big games. Like you have to pick up points on the road. Yeah, every weekend. So yeah, it's much of a muchness, but like Dundalk first, Rovers second, but like it's impossible to say, I think.
Yeah, the reason why I've gone with Rovers in front of Dundalk is just really, I think the 2 signings from Dundalk actually will be huge for them, Sean Hoare and Sean Gannon. I might actually revert to them playing, because they played a back 5 a lot. I think they might actually go with a back 4 potentially for a lot of this season, with those 2 kind of improvements to their defence. Because really, when you're playing a back 5, it is because you're not fully confident in your defensive structure, maybe. I think those 2 will improve. I think one of the signings of the season, and he's probably gone under the radar a good bit, is Chris McCann. I know him formerly of Wigan. Yeah. He's like 31, 32, but he's next level. I think he could come in and boss the league. Like he could take charge of midfields on a weekly basis. Like I think he's a really good player. I think he's played in the Premier League with Burnley and stuff as well. Really, really good signing. And I think he could still probably play in England if he wanted. I think he just wanted to move back to Dublin. But him alongside, you have Dylan Watts, you've Gary O'Neill in there. Really good players. Obviously, McAnuff is a loss. Byrne, of course, is a loss. But Mandrew coming in, I think he might get like a new lease of life at Rovers. I know obviously Byrne kind of came there with attitude problems, maybe, and Mandrew was the same. Obviously, off the field problems with Bowes last year.
Yeah.
Was why he wasn't really playing, because the season before he was immense, it has to be said. So I think he could probably try maybe get back to his best in that kind of Jack Byrne role. They still have the likes of Frugia coming through, and they have Aaron Green up top as well. So it is going to be very, very tight. I like a lot of Dundalk's business as well. A lot of them, it is interesting though, with the kind of foreign nationals coming in, the likes of the Faroese centre half and the Latvian left back and stuff. So they'll be interesting.
6 or 7 new like international signings, isn't it?
Yeah, and the keeper as well. So a Bibi or something. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Dundalk, it's hard to, you can't write them off. They still have Hope and Duffy, Chris Shields, a lot of the players that have get them to where they need to be. So it's a really of a toss of a coin, so to speak. But I just went with Rovers, just about maybe to retain, because how many points were Dundalk behind Rovers last season in the end after half a season?
21 or something.
22 points. Like I don't know if that bridge has been gapped, really, to be honest with you. So I just went with Rovers.
Yeah, not fair. I think it's going to be tight though. probably tighter than last season, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Oh no, 100%. It'll be a lot tighter than last season. I'd say with the two
Definitely.
of them going head to head. But yeah, guys, hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, drop a like on it down below. If you can hit what 50, 60, we got 60 likes. That'd
60,
be
yeah.
great. Yeah, be greatly appreciated. Do subscribe as well. We're on the road to 3K, and do appreciate all your support. Yeah, so nice one. Thanks for watching. Catch you in a bit.